Morning, Claudia. How are you today?
Yeah, very well.
Thanks
you.
for taking the time out to come and talk to me. So we're going to be talking about the yes-no referendum about voice to Parliament. Can you just tell me a little bit more about your thoughts, which I find very interesting?
Well, yeah, thanks for inviting me to talk about my opinion, I would say, on the voice and the yes vote, which is the side that I'm campaigning for. And I would like to begin my story by expressing my heartfelt appreciation to Australia, this incredible nation that has opened its doors and embraced multiculturalism like no other. From my accent, you will probably have worked out by now that I was not born in this great land. I was born in a tiny country in Central America called Guatemala, of which you may or may not have heard. I migrated to Australia in 1988 and am beyond thankful for the opportunities and the acceptance that I have found here. Just a tiny remark on Guatemala. It is a country that, according to the last census in 2020, has 40% of indigenous population.
It's very interesting.
Yeah. Anyway, continuing with my story, I think that Australia is a land of boundless beauty and has a unique story etched upon its soil. A story that intertwines the experiences of migrants from all corners of the globe. And it is this very tapestry of cultures, beliefs, and dreams that makes Australia a vibrant and thriving nation.
So, just tell me a little bit more about your experience since you've lived in Australia.
Well, in the first 25 years that I lived in Australia, I always thought that the openness and opportunities that I found and that were offered to me and to my family were here for everyone to grasp. I worked hard for many years, started my own small business, reared a young family, putting my sons, two of them, through primary and high school, through the public education system, and even through university. Our family thrived, as do many migrant families and communities, but I was so busy working that I did not engage with the indigenous history of our nation.
So, how did you end up learning more about the Indigenous Australians?
Well, I happened to watch a documentary about the Uluru Statement from the Heart. I heard about the struggles of First Nations peoples, the lack of education and health services in their communities, about the disproportionate levels of incarceration, suicide, their shorter life expectancy, and about the perpetuation of poverty in their communities after they were dispossessed from the lands 200 years ago. This narrative of inequality and dispossession spoke powerfully to me and brought many parallels in my memory to the images I grew up with in Guatemala. It actually took me a while to comprehend that this was happening in 2021 in Australia, as if there had been an invisible barrier that had prevented me from paying attention to the struggle of Indigenous Australians. I remembered that the Prime Minister had said sorry in 2008 and that I had thought that was great, but only now did I begin to comprehend what he was apologizing for. And yet at the end of the Uluru Statement from the Heart, the Indigenous people still graciously had invited all Australians to walk with them to build a better future. From the heart.
So, what was prompted within you?
Well, I felt very humbled by this invitation, and that was when I decided that I would engage in activities relating to reconciliation. And as one thing leads to another, as soon as it was known that a referendum would be held towards the end of 2022, I knew that I would be voting yes to the voice to Parliament and volunteering to support the campaign for the yes vote to succeed. I get personally offended when I hear the no vote campaign taking anyone for granted, taking us migrants for granted, and more so when they take Queensland for granted. Fancy one of their leaders saying the no campaign has Queensland in their pocket, and advocating for ignorance when they think that they can tell people to remain uninformed and vote no. I say to undecided voters, if you don't know, ask. If you don't know, ask me.
Can you tell me a little bit more about why you're so passionate about this proposal?
Well, I will vote yes, because I see Australia as a land where everyone should have a fair go, a melting pot of aspirations where we have come together, united by a shared vision of prosperity and equality. I feel that it is my duty as a migrant and as an Australian to advocate for justice and fairness, to stand up against any disparities and demand a brighter future for all. This I do in gratitude and in return for the opportunities that I have been given here. I believe that when we can collectively champion equality, advocating for a society that leaves no one behind, particularly not our Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander fellow Australians. They should not only not be left behind, but respectfully be recognized as the first peoples of Australia.
What do you think will be the effect of a successful referendum? So if people overwhelmingly vote for the yes?
If the yes to the Voice to Parliament initiative is successful, it will have several significant implications for future generations. Firstly, it will symbolize a fundamental shift towards greater representation and recognition of Indigenous Australians. A Voice to Parliament will provide a platform for Indigenous voices to be heard, enabling them to contribute directly to the decision-making process that affect their communities. By amplifying Indigenous voices, a Voice to Parliament has the potential to address systemic issues and improve outcomes relating to education, health, housing, and other areas of concern. Moreover, it will strengthen efforts towards truth-telling, reconciliation, and healing, fostering a more inclusive and equitable society for all Australians.
So Claudia, I've met one of your sons, he's delightful. So tell me a little bit more about how this might affect your family and your vision for the next generation.
Well, I believe that for our children and grandchildren, a successful yes vote to the Voice to Parliament will mean growing up in a nation that values the voices, experiences, and perspectives of all its citizens. It will demonstrate a commitment to justice, understanding, and collaboration, paving the way for a more harmonious future where Indigenous cultures and knowledge are respected and integrated. Ultimately, by embracing a Voice to Parliament, Australia has the opportunity to build stronger connections and partnerships with Indigenous communities, leading to meaningful and lasting positive change for future generations. I envision an Australia that shapes its prosperity by drawing upon the foundations of its diverse composition.
I really feel you've got some unique, important perspectives here about the referendum. Could you please summarise your vision regarding the referendum?
Well, the backbone of our country lies in the legacy of democratic systems introduced by the European settlers, which have played a crucial role in shaping our governance. Our strength also stems from the diverse range of communities that make up our society, each contributing their own perspectives and enriching our society with a mosaic of cultures and traditions from around the globe. Yet, It is the wisdom and connection to the land of our First Nations peoples that we find the soul of our nation. Their millennial culture and their love for the land serves as a guiding force, encouraging us to embrace sustainability and ensuring that future generations may still inherit an environment teeming with life and beauty. In this Australia, the harmonious union of these three pillars, the democratic inheritance, the richness of our diverse communities, and the wisdom from the First Nations peoples, enhance the capacity of our nation to thrive. It promotes a society that supports and embraces diversity by encouraging new ideas and appreciating different viewpoints that arise throughout our collective experience. If you share my vision, I invite you to vote yes. Embrace the invitation made to all Australians and let's walk together. Enshrining the voice to Parliament in the Constitution will be a unifying moment. And do not let fearmongers lie to you, telling you any different. Say it with me, I will vote yes.